Hello friends, whenever you hear the word Middle East, the first thing that comes to our mind is a war, the destruction, or anything like a picture like this. And there is a very strong reason for us to think like that. You can see there have been many incidents that have taken place in the Middle East in the past years that has made our brain to think like this. It can be Israel-Palestine conflict or the civil war in Syria or Iran-Iraq war. And there are many other reasons as well to think like that. But what are the reasons? Why are we thinking like this? What is the main cause for all these incidents to take place? There are many reasons. It can be the Western influence in the Middle East, the greed of some nations to control the oil-rich countries, and many other cultural reasons as well. But in today's lecture, we'll try and understand how the sects in Islam, that is Shias and Sunnis, have led to tensions in the Middle East and how that has led to rise of organizations like ISIS, Hezbollah, Houthis, and many other things as well. So, if we look at the map of the Middle East, you can see in this map there are some countries that are Shia dominated and some countries are Sunni dominated. Talking of Iran, that is a major Shia country, number one, having more than 90% of Shia population. At the same time, when we talk of Saudi Arabia, it is a Sunni dominated country having more than 80-85% of Sunni Muslims. So these are the two major powers in this region. After that, there are other countries like we have Iraq, which is a Shia dominated country. We have Syria, that is a Sunni dominated country, and other countries as well. But it is primarily Iran and Saudi Arabia that are right now working towards controlling the affairs in the Middle East. When we talk of the Middle East and talk of these two countries, these are right now trying the tug of war to take control of the Middle East. If we talk of these two countries, you can see the military powers of both the countries. Then Saudi Arabia has US as its allies and Iran has its own military power, as you saw in the recent incidents that took place when they had the missiles and the rocket exchange with Israel. Now, talking of the ruler, then there is a king in Saudi, that is Salman, and right now the prince Mohammed bin Salman. The king is Salman and right now there is a prince. If we talk of Iran, in Iran you will have a religious head who is the supreme leader of Iran, that is Ayatollah Ali Khomeini, who is right now the head of Iran. And income is obviously the oil wealth that is obviously there in the Middle East, that is the oil wealth. But the most important thing that we have to know here is that Saudi Arabia is a Sunni country. This is a Sunni country and Iran is a Shia country. And this is why, because of the different sects in both the countries, so both the countries are trying to increase their influence in the Middle East. They are trying to dominate over the other countries in the Middle East. Now, let's try and study one country at a time and figure out how each country is performing and how these two countries are trying to dominate the countries. Starting with Iraq. When we talk of Iraq, it is a Shia dominant country with about 70% Shia population. When we go back in 1980s, there was a ruler named Saddam Hussein, who was, although the country is a Shia country, but Saddam Hussein was a Sunni. He was a Sunni leader, and in 1979, during the Islamic Revolution in Iran, Saddam Hussein felt a bit uncomfortable thinking that the wave of the revolution might as well reach to Iraq. So there was a war between Iran and Iraq at that time, just to control Iran. After that, if we talk of the present, now the things are stabilizing a bit as far as the Shia and Sunnis are concerned. But there is a major problem right now in Iraq. That is the presence of ISIS, Islamic State of Iraq and Syria. This is a big problem right now in the Middle East. As I already told you, ISIS has many other motives of the Western culture and other things. They want to stop those things. But when we talk precisely in Iraq, you know, the Iraq is a Shia dominated country. So ISIS, although has other issues, but they also focus on this thing as well, where it is a it is a Sunni dominant organization, and they want their influence to increase in Iraq. That is why this has led to the problems, and Iran is also against this organization. One of the very few organizations in the Middle East that Iran is not supporting. And there are many organizations that Iran will support, but ISIS is one organization that Iran is not supporting because of the fact that this is a Sunni dominated organization and they are working towards spreading the Sunni culture in this region. This is about Iraq and how ISIS is working in this area. Now, if we go to other country, that is Syria. Talking of Syria, now this is a Sunni dominated country. As we were talking in Iraq, it was a Shia dominated country. But when we talk of Syria, it is a Sunni dominated country. But the issue here is that the leader, that is Bashar al-Assad. Bashar al-Assad is an Alawite, that is an offshoot of Shias. So we can say that he's a Shia. If you look at this picture, he's Bashar al-Assad. Now, the problem here is that the majority of the population in Syria is Sunni. So, although, again, I'm telling you, there are many reasons, but although there were other reasons as well, but this was also one reason why there was friction between the head and the majority, that is the Sunnis, and that eventually led to civil war. And I'm telling you again, there are other reasons for the civil war. But again, this is also one reason for the civil war in this area. If we talk of ISIS, the presence of ISIS is also in Syria as well. And they are trying their best to overthrow the leadership, that is Bashar al-Assad. They want to overthrow the leadership, and Saudi Arabia is also trying its hand to help the population overthrow this, so that the country is taken over by the Sunni leaders. This is how the politics of Saudi Arabia and Iran is working right now in the Middle East. There are some organizations that are working in Syria, and Iran has the backing of, Iran backs those organizations as well. We will learn about those organizations when we reach to the axis of resistance. This is about Syria. As you see, it is 15 to 20% Shia population, but again, majority is the Sunni, but the leader is a Shia, that's Alawite, Bashar al-Assad, and there is presence of ISIS as well. Now we come to the southern part of Middle East, that is Yemen. When we talk of Yemen, it has got around 65% of the Sunni population. Again, a Sunni dominated country. If we talk of Yemen, it is a Sunni dominated country, but you will find an organization there that is Houthis. You might have heard of the Houthis in the recent years as they attacked many ships in the Red Sea area. Houthis are a rebel organization that is present in Yemen. And the organization is a Shia organization. It is a Shia organization. This is again important because the population there is Sunni and the organization working is Shia, and it has got the backing of Iran. Iran is backing Houthis as well. Very important. As I told you, ISIS is not backed by Iran, but Houthis have the backing of Iran, and the aim of the Houthis, although, is to fight against the Israeli attacks in the place of Palestine and other things, but also they want to contain the Salafism. You might have heard of Salafism that has started in Yemen. So they have an aim of controlling that Salafism as well, so as to protect their identity. That is what Houthis are doing there in Yemen. Also, you might have heard of an attack that Houthis launched rockets on an oil reservoir in Saudi Arabia. So they have constant issues or conflicts with Saudi Arabia. That is how the things are changing in the Middle East. The Houthis have the backing of Iran, and this organization, although attacked some ships from other countries, but also attacked an oil reservoir of Saudi Arabia, thereby causing tensions in the Middle East. This is again how the things are working and how Houthis are performing in Yemen. Now we come to Lebanon, and there is a very famous organization that is Hezbollah. Hezbollah has also got backing from Iran. Iran backs Hezbollah as well. Lebanon is a country which has around 50% of Shia and Sunni population. So in that country, there might not be that much of influence. But the very important thing here is that if you look at this red line that I'm drawing here, this is the border where you will see constant conflicts between Hezbollah and the Israeli forces. In the recent news, you saw more than 100 rockets were fired by Hezbollah on on Israel. This is Israel. Okay. So there is constant conflict between Lebanon and, not Lebanon, actually Hezbollah and Israel. This has been going on in the past some time. Now, when we reach this is the axis of resistance that I discussed earlier. What is the axis of resistance? If you look at Iran, after the Islamic Revolution, there were many things that started to happen. The Western countries started to pull back their hands. Iraq attacked Iran. So Iran decided to expand its reach, and it started an axis of resistance in which they are backing multiple organizations in the Middle Eastern countries, talking of Iraq, Syria, Yemen, and then Palestine and other things as well. If you talk of Iraq, there is Asaib al-Haq. That is the organization backed by Iran, number one. Then there is Badr organization, one more, which has the backing of Iran. If you go to Lebanon, obviously there is Hezbollah, very famous. That is the backing. Then you go to Israel or Palestine, you will find Hamas. Again, Hamas is the organization where Iran will supply its arms and help them to fight against Israeli forces. When you talk of Yemen, you will find Houthis, and there are many other organizations as well that Iran is supporting. And this is why Saudi Arabia wants to take control and is getting uncomfortable in this region. This is how the frictions have increased in the Middle East in the past some time, and this is how the ISIS and Houthis and other organizations are working right now in the Middle East. So that is the news about the Middle East. Now, if you're preparing for UPSC, then Unacademy has got great offers for you just at rupees 24,999, and you can further avail yourself in this. You can enroll in Unacademy Civil Services Championship that's going to be held on 24th of November, and you can get a lot of prizes in this as you're seeing in these pictures. So you can get the batches in English of Sarmad sir, in bilingual of Nunal sir, and then Madhukar sir in all Hindi batch as well. So that is all from my side. I hope you liked the lecture. Do subscribe to our channel. Till I see you next time. Bye-bye.